I have over 700,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I've been posting online for more than a decade. And truthfully, most of it was the wrong approach. Not the YouTube part. That part has changed everything. But the part that cost me years of my energy and truthfully, my inner peace, the social media part. And here's the part that's kind of uncomfortable to admit. I was a social media consultant. That is kind of how my career started in this entire space. And I was helping companies of all sizes, huge corporations, authors, personal brands, thought leaders, grow their social followings and make a bigger impact while I was quietly burning out doing the same. But the big shift happened when I made a decision that I don't think anyone could have anticipated. I moved from an attention-based model to a model that's much more valuable and ultimately much easier to monetize. So if you're sitting there and you feel like you are posting constantly, doing everything right, you're being so consistent, and yet nothing feels like it's working, you're not wrong. And this video is for you. And if you want to make this super actionable for yourself, so you're not just watching this but not doing anything with it, be sure to comment business plan below this video and we'll send you the link to access our Knowledge Bank business plan on demand so that you can have the step-by-step process to turn this into something really real for yourself and sustainable moving forward as a business. So regret number one is I chased vanity metrics like they were revenue. And for years, I measured success by the wrong number. Numbers like followers, likes, reach, impressions. These are the metrics that every platform wants you to optimize for. They are built into every dashboard. They are what most people screenshot and celebrate, and they are not the same as revenue. Raise your hand if you've built a following, but you're yet to see that turn into actual monetary reward. There are a lot of people out there who can relate to that, and a lot of people that we speak to daily who have built these huge brands and followings online, and they have no business to back it up. So I know that sounds kind of obvious, but when you're inside of the machine, it doesn't feel obvious at all. It feels like followers mean growth. Engagement means you're doing something right. I had posts that generated hundreds of thousands of impressions and did diddly freaking squat in the real world. And yet the light bulb went off for me when I realized I had posts that had less than 100 likes on them, and yet they were turning into amazing clients and revenue. So it really helped me understand the size of the audience meant nothing. The quality and the focus of the audience meant everything. But every platform doesn't see it that way. They were only rewarding me for volume. They were certainly not rewarding me for specificity in terms of vanity metrics. The algorithm wanted me to go wide, but my business needed me to go deep. Those are conflicting and opposing strategies. And it's what keeps most people online frustrated and broke. Even if you're incredible at what you do, the metric I should have been optimizing for from day one is what we call dollar per view. Not how many people saw this, but how many of the right people saw this and what happened next. So Kirby's a really great example of this. So he teaches professionals how to create short-term real estate investments that will provide them passive income well into their retirement. He started with no online course, no audience, and no idea what was possible. His only goal when he started was to make his money back on his investment. And in less than 30 days, he enrolled 26 clients into his online program. Done. Since then, he's raised the price 4 times, never had a refund request, and he's crossed the $1 million mark in revenue. And he has the freedom of choice to grow his business in the way that he wants to, while he's also grown his family. They just had their 4th baby recently. Not because he went viral, and definitely not because he has a massive audience, because he got precise about who he served and what they actually needed. So here's the trick and the trap of social media. Vanity metrics feel like progress. They give you a dopamine hit. Feels nice for a moment, then you're right back on the hamster wheel thinking about what you need to make next. That is just noise. The real question is never how many people saw this. It is always, did the right people see this and what did they do because of it? Did they take action? Did they become a client? Did they hop onto your email list? Whatever it may be. Did they do something because of the content you created? If they didn't, you are just contributing to the noise and your own frustration, truthfully. Now, the second regret is that I let the algorithm take time away from me that I will never get back. What you need to understand is that social media is designed to be urgent. It is designed to make you feel that if you stop, everything stops. That's not a side effect. That is the product. And it's why 79% of creators experience burnout. And that number rises to 83% of the people who are struggling to monetize what they do. This isn't personal failure. This is not a you problem. This is how the platforms are designed. The feed never empties. The algorithm always wants more. And every day you don't post is a day you feel like you're falling behind because it's designed that way. Because the more content that's created on these platforms, the more sponsorships available to the platform, the more ad revenue available to the platform, the more valuable that company becomes as your value decreases with each post you create and your time gets sucked dry with every post you create. And I felt that deeply. It is embarrassing to go back on my Instagram account and some of the posts I used to create, I'm like, why did I make this? Who knows? How much time did I spend on that thing? But it's the only reason that I can speak to it now. And it's also the reason that I haven't been on social media for a really long time and yet run a very successful business without needing to be on social media. And if you're thinking, but YouTube is social media, it's not. YouTube is a search engine-based platform. Every video I post on here works for me when I'm not working. That is a different process than platforms like an Instagram or a TikTok. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but I think if you don't know how to approach them and you're not aware of how they work, then you very easily get sucked into busy mode as opposed to real productivity and revenue generation. And it wasn't until I went to the hospital with all of the symptoms of a stroke at 29 years old. Healthy on all accounts. And yet this was happening to me. Turns out, thank goodness, it was just a really severe panic attack. But I look at it now as this complete system crash. Years of this like manufactured pressure and urgency every day to keep up with the hamster wheel of social media finally kind of broke through. So I made the decision to never operate in that way again and to be really, really aware of my activity and how I use the platforms, not how the platforms used me. So the urgency is manufactured, but the cost is very real. And you cannot build a sustainable business from a place of constant urgency and depletion. The platforms will always ask for more because it benefits the platform. So you have to make a conscious decision of what you're willing to give. And more importantly, why you are on there. Why you're doing it. Now, regret number 3 is probably the most important. I built an audience on a platform that I didn't own. Ownership is so important. And the best part is I knew better and I still did it. Okay, so this was a massive mistake and probably the most costly mistake that you can make as a business owner. The truth about every social platform, every platform in general, you do not own the audience there. Period. You don't even own the account, you don't own the algorithm, and you don't own the relationships that you have spent years and countless hours building. The platform does, and platforms, as you know, change. Algorithms change. Shadow bans happen. They shift their priorities. They can suspend you overnight with no recourse. So the lesson here is that if your entire business exists on a platform that you don't own, your entire business is at the mercy of decisions you have no control over. And I knew this, but it took me a while to put it into practice. And the reality is you want to look at social media as a vehicle, not the end destination. Social is the vehicle to get people to a place that you do own. And generally that place is going to be something like an email list because you actually do have ownership over your email list. And that is your greatest asset that you can have as a business owner. And to take that a step further, if you think about the nature of content, there are very different styles of attention, especially nowadays, because there's way too much information out there. We are overwhelmed with information every single day, and yet we are starving for real trust and real transformation. So let's quickly talk about long form versus short form and the actual signal that that's sending. But before we go any further, be sure to comment business plan below this video. We'll send you the link to access our Knowledge Bank business plan on demand so we can show you the step-by-step process and a very helpful tool to turn your knowledge into a transformative and profitable online business. So short form content, I like to say it's like dating. It's fast, it's temporary, and it's rarely meaningful. Someone scrolls past their videos, they're doing maybe a million different things. Maybe they pay attention, maybe they don't. The algorithm has served you up, but they may not be looking for you. Long form content, though, is a different beast. When someone actively chooses on a platform like YouTube to click on a video, knowing that it's 20 minutes and they are going to watch that video, they came with intent. They cleared time for this. They weren't fed something in their feed. They actively chose to be there. They are trying to achieve something or solve something. That is a fundamentally different quality of attention, and it needs to be paid attention to. And when it comes to sending people from a platform to something like an email list that you own, if somebody's watching a long form piece of content and they then opt into your email list, that's a relationship you own. That's an audience that isn't going to go anywhere, regardless of what platforms you're on and what happens with them. So if I can hammer this point home, the only audience worth building is the audience you own, which is why it doesn't really matter how many people people see your content on different platforms. What matters is how many of those people are high intent, are there because they care about what you're saying and they're bought into what you're saying, and they want to take the next step to be part of your world. So that whatever it is that you have to share or whatever it is that you are trying to create a business around, they're going to be there to be a part of that journey and ultimately become a client. And the next regret is thinking that I needed to be everywhere. Omnipresent, as they say. At the peak of my social media activity, I was posting on multiple different platforms a day. It felt like coverage, like I was covering all of my bases, like I was being strategic and thorough. And truthfully, it was following the advice of some pretty well-known people, but it was one of the most unsustainable things I've ever done. And I quickly realized some of those people, they have a team of 50 doing their social media. They don't touch it. I don't have a team of 50 doing my social media. So do I need it, or would it just be feeding my ego? So there's another trap that experts fall into when they start on the social media train, and it's that they think visibility requires volume, that you need to be on every platform, in front of every audience, all the time. So you start creating for Instagram, then TikTok, then LinkedIn, then YouTube. And you're having to keep up with stories, reels, threads, all the things. That's a full-time job. And pretty quickly, you're doing a half-assed job at most of it because you're so spread thin. The platforms are not equal. And to truly master a platform, that takes time and that takes real focused attention. And there's ultimately a huge difference between being what we call toilet viewing versus being deep viewing. Like I said, people consume short form content oftentimes half distracted, and there's now more short form content than ever. They might enjoy your content in the moment, but not even remember you or what you said an hour later. So a good example of this is Nikki. So Nikki's a client of ours and she's an animal communicator. She was spread thin across all these different platforms. When she shifted, she tightened her positioning, she focused on the right audience, and went deep instead of wide. She sent one email to 174 targeted people, and that email generated $103,000 in 21 days. So the size of the audience wasn't the variable here. The precision, again, the precision of the audience and the quality of the audience was. So you don't need to be everywhere. You need to be in the right place in front of the right people. Depth beats distribution all day, every day. The next regret was I didn't monetize my knowledge, I monetized my attention. Big difference. For years, my model and my thought process was build a big enough audience, keep them engaged, figure out how to monetize the attention. That is the creator model, but it is an incredibly fragile way to build a business, and it keeps you at the mercy of the algorithms because attention is rented and it's fleeting, whereas knowledge is owned. When your revenue depends on how many people are watching you, your income is a direct function of the algorithm, which is a risky little game to play. It fluctuates with trends and it depends on your willingness to keep feeding the machine. When your revenue is tied to the actual transformation you create, so the specific problem that you solve and the specific person that you solve it for, your income is actually something that you control, and you need less people to achieve the same financial goals. So the model that I have now in my business is the one that I have been running for almost a decade now, but I wish I had it from day one. Your knowledge is the asset. So what you know is the asset. Your expertise is the product, and your content is the vehicle that connects you to the people who need what you know. That is a fundamentally different relationship with your content. You are not here or trying to entertain the masses. You are only trying to serve the specific person who has the specific problem that you have. So prime example, Darius is a filmmaker who had 457,000 subscribers on YouTube. He spent 9 months creating a film that was seen worldwide and seen in film schools all over the place, and 3 sponsors backed it. Total earnings from that, $2,400. That is the social media creator model in action. Massive reach, enormous effort, almost no revenue. Then Darius built a structured program that actually taught filmmakers what he knew. His first launch, $22,000. Again, same person, same expertise, different model. The knowledge was always the asset. He just needed a different vehicle to deliver it. So what would I do differently? I mean, a lot of what I would do differently I've kind of shared, but these are probably the concrete things that you need to know if you are trying to build your authority online. And there's really 3 key shifts. That's it. Number 1, start with the offer, not the audience, because the offer and what you are ultimately going to sell dictates everything else as a business owner. I am not talking to you if you are trying to be a creator and be an influencer. That's a different game, and that's great if that's what you're doing. But if you're actually trying to build a business online, know what you are selling first. The outdated and quite frankly wrong concept here is to build your audience first and then figure out what to sell to them. And that is how I've seen so many people. In fact, recently somebody had an audience of 200,000 people and was barely making $2,000 a month for years. Okay? Because the audience does not equal revenue. So here's what I know now. The smartest thing you can do, especially when you're starting out, is to validate what people actually want to pay you for before you build any kind of following. Because what any algorithm needs to know is, who are you trying to reach? What do you want to be known for? And knowing what you ultimately want to offer will answer those two questions, and every piece of content you create will stem from those two questions, which gives you immediate authority from day one, even with zero audience on any algorithm. So we always want to start with what we call the POP, or the profitable offer prototype. You don't need an audience to validate an offer, you just need conversations, and not many of them. You want to talk to the people who have the problem you solve, which you probably already know people who do, understand what they're struggling with, and pre-sell the solution before you build anything. You're not building in the dark, you're building based on real demand. Shift number 2 is choose depth over distribution, which is going to feel completely counterintuitive and like the polar opposite of what you think you should be doing. So roll with me here. One platform, long form, evergreen. Content that keeps working for you after you publish it. Not content with a 24-hour shelf life that disappears from the feed forever. So YouTube, like I said, this is a video hosting platform. This is a search engine, ultimately. When someone types a problem into YouTube search, they're actively seeking out a solution. They have purchase intent. They are not just stumbling across your content in their feed and half paying attention to it. So simply put, when it comes to what kind of content to create content that answers the questions that your most ideal clients are asking. From that content, you want to send people to your email list through things like a lead magnet, an ebook, PDF, whatever it may be. Have somewhere for them to go so that you own the audience and the algorithm doesn't own you. The email list is your real business asset, not your follower account. And shift number 3, measure dollar per view, not vanity metrics. The right 100 people are worth more than the random 100,000 people. This metric reframes everything you create and who you create it for. So one of my favorite examples of this of all time is Brandon, who is a real estate agent. He started working with us when he basically had no following at all. It was less than 100 subscribers. But by the time he had hit 3,000 subscribers, he had earned $1.1 million in revenue in his business, because every single video was designed for a precise person with a precise problem. Not for the algorithm, not for virality, for the one person who needed exactly what he knew. When you measure dollar per view, everything changes. So if I could go back and hand a note to my younger version of myself, and truthfully to you as well, this is what I would say. The number doesn't mean what you think it means. 1 million followers who are not your people is worth less than 1,000 people who are. The urgency you're feeling, it is manufactured. The cost is real. Guard your energy like it's a business asset, because it is. Build something you own, an email list, a program, credibility in a specific room, not a vague presence in every room. And start with what you know. Your knowledge is the product. Social media, this whole online world, it's just the vehicle. So I hope it doesn't take 10 years and a lot of tough lessons for you to learn this the hard way. I hope this clarifies a ton and helps you move forward in a much more peaceful and focused way. And if you want to bring this all together and create a business around what you know, so you can teach what you know and create a scalable business around it, be sure to comment business plan below or click the link in the description to access our knowledge bank business plan, which will walk you through step by step in turning your knowledge into this scalable business asset. And to dig even deeper on this, check out this video next on how to scale your expertise into $1 million business. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know what your takeaways, light bulbs are in the comments below. They are my love language, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.